let's go to the border war. Let's talk about a comeback for the Missouri Tigers. They were down at one point 21-6. Trey, we didn't know if our ESPN app was being correct because on one hand it was showing 14-0. For me, it was showing 6-0 in favor of Missouri. The scores were all over the place, but Kansas jumps right on Missouri early. They go up on the road, easy to take the energy, the vibe out of that place, and then Missouri kind of digs deep. And they go on a big-time scoring run. Bo Pribula has himself a day. Defense finally did wear down Kansas in the end. By the time that you got midway through the third quarter into that fourth quarter, like I kind of leaned on in that preview, I felt like Missouri's defense, the speed, the depth, was going to be able to outlast Kansas. And by the end of that game, Jalen Daniels couldn't really affect the game with his feet, and the wide receivers were not getting open. For me, yes, it was a rough start to the game, but it's a rivalry game. Things happen. I came away more impressed with Missouri than when I was coming into this game, and I'm still on the bandwagon that the Tigers are a legitimate contender in the SEC.
I'm right there with you, and we were really high on their defense going into the year. This offense looks really scary. Bo Pribula, 30 of 39 for 334 and 3. They had two running backs go over 100 yards, combined for 265. Kevin Coleman leading that receiving corps coming up from Mississippi State. This is a scary offense. There's a lot of fun pieces on there. Bo Pribula is slinging it around. But yeah, to go back to the defense real quick, they really did a good job the entire game of making Jalen Daniels one-dimensional. He had 10 carries for just 17 yards. 19 of those yards came on one run towards the end of the game. So they were keeping him contained. They were getting him behind the line of scrimmage multiple times, and that was a big key. They didn't let him take over the game with his feet, and that's something he can do to even really, really good defenses. We've seen him do that in his career. So a good showing from Kansas. I think this is not. I'm not any lower on Kansas than I was going into this game. I think that they are a dark horse contender in the Big 12. Their win over Fresno State has aged very well, as we've seen Fresno State come out and win their next two games, including beating Oregon State on the road today. So that's a win that's aged well. They looked really good playing defense their first couple games. Ran into a little bit of a buzzsaw today, but these are two teams that are going to be dark horses and have a lot to say about their respective conferences this year.
I think that might be a really bad Oregon State team up in Corvallis.
It might.
Go watch some of the lowlights from the first half of that game. But you're right. Certainly, it feels like Kansas is on the right track. And Garrett, we talked about in the preview show, we're very high on Kansas, probably overachieving from our preseason expectations. Their schedule looks pretty friendly here in the next couple of weeks, especially given what's happened at West Virginia, losing to Ohio, Kansas State falling apart. Their next couple of games, and Garrett, tell me where you think they take their season based off of this. West Virginia, Cincinnati, at UCF. They'll go to Texas Tech. They get a bye week. They'll play Kansas State, Oklahoma State, Arizona. Another bye week at Iowa State versus Utah. I mean, the path to 8-9 wins, I don't have to politic all that hard to get Kansas to 9-3.
No, 9-3 looks super doable on the schedule, and they're going to be able to build up some momentum over the next couple games. I mean, West Virginia, not a good football team. Bummer, but I guess it is what it is. Cincinnati, UCF, they should be able to rattle off a couple of wins, put up some points, which, again, they didn't necessarily even look all that good. They got outgained in this by 300 or 400 yards. It was 595 to 226. Yeah. So they weren't even really moving the ball that well. It just, they found ways to put points on the boards. I think it'll look better. Obviously, if they're finding ways to score against a better defense like Missouri, I think far worse defenses, they'll be able to go and put points up. It'll be about keeping up with teams like, Texas Tech or, I think, who was it later? I think Iowa State they play, but, that's going to be a much better defense, I think. So, it's just going to be about finding ways to keep putting up points and trying to keep up in some of those shootouts. I don't think the sky is falling if you're Kansas. Obviously, this one stings, right? Losing a rivalry game always sucks, but nothing really to get too upset about when, again, Missouri, they look pretty good. I mean, it's a pretty good looking Missouri Tigers team up there. I think that's one that a lot of people probably didn't pay attention to in their offseason, and now a lot of teams are looking at that game on their schedule, and maybe they're thinking about Missouri the way they were previously thinking about a team like Florida, right? Where they're saying, oh, that's going to be a tough one. Make sure you show up for that one.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a good Missouri team, and I think Kansas hanging with them shows that they're going to be a just fine team in the Big 12.
Yeah, everybody's
going
going
to host South Carolina in 2 weeks.
That's going to be great.
That's
going to be a fun one.
Yeah, well, that'll be must-watch TV. Although South Carolina, little bit of a slow start offensively these last 2 weeks. I think they eventually started to put it on SC Upstate, but certainly didn't blow the Hokies away, a team that Vandy showed you could put a lot of points on no matter where you're playing them. Slow start to the game tonight, but we'll talk about that one certainly in a couple weeks' time.